1, 2, 1, 2. Can everybody hear me, see me, do everything? How are you? I'm just checking the L signal there, and I'm hoping that you're all seeing and hearing me in full vision. I'm just waiting for it to turn over. How are you? It's great to see you here. Here we are again, doing this thing with the Wavelab cast. Loving this. Wavelab cast. This is what we do. We sit down here every now and again and we go through a few aspects of this Wavelab cast, which is an iteration of Wavelab from Steinberg. And what Steinberg have done is they've pared the whole thing back. Okay, so they make sure that Wavelab cast does a ton of the work for you. Okay, so you don't have to worry about all the bells and the whistles and the knobs and everything that you see in these big massive desks in studios and all the outboard gear. It does a ton of work for you. So what we've done over the past few months is come down here, we had to relax, we had to play with this. We've gone through loads of different aspects of recording with this thing, recording generally setting up a podcast and how you go about it, editing, lots of different aspects. And you can see that in the Wavelab channel, because you know you're in the Wavelab channel already, right? Okay, so what we're going to do tonight is we're going to look at a really, really important aspect of Wavelab cast, which is working with video. So what do I mean by that? Well, literally, you know, there's a lot of DAWs out there, which are digital audio workstations that have no recognition of video whatsoever. But thankfully in Wavelab cast, it comes as standard. So whatever you're doing, whether you're a content creator, whether you're a video podcast creator, or any other sort of podcast creator or any other sort of creative, Wavelab cast can cater for you. So imagine you found yourself shooting whatever you shoot. Imagine it was a couple of interviews and you bring it back to your setup and you put it into, say, iMovie or whatever video package you're working off. You cut your interviews together. Okay, so you end up with a lovely timeline of your super duper audio. Okay, but the thing is, you need now to master it. And you could embellish it a wee bit more with what they call wild tracks or Atmoses, I think they call them in the States. So imagine you had an opening sequence, a interview, a piece to camera, you know, that needed cleaning up. Your interviews maybe could do with a little EQ. You wanted to put certain sound effects to your opening sequence. Imagine there was graphics flying around or stuff like that. Well, you can do the whole thing in Wavelab cast. And you can mix the whole thing in Wavelab cast, edit the whole thing in Wavelab cast, and end first frame of whatever your show is, whatever your content is, to end frame, spit it out, mastered, finished, okay, and put it back to your video and you're rocking and rolling. Get it up onto YouTube or wherever it is that you put your content, and you're rocking. How hard is that? Not very. It's not very hard at all, to be honest with you. And whilst we're here, we're trying to encourage you guys to get going on with the Wavelab cast, giving it a lash. You know, that's what they say. Just give it a lash, try it out, see what happens, you know. If you have a creative bone in your body, allow yourself. Just do it. You know, just do it. Okay? Okay. So we basically will be looking at bringing in the picture to Wavelab cast and a few things you should check and have checked for when you decide to work to the pictures. Okay, so where do you get this Wavelab cast? Well, you go onto the Steinberg website. Okay, this is just if you haven't been here before and you're interested in checking it out, get yourself over to here. This is the Steinberg website, And we're currently at steinberg.net/wavelab/cast. And on here you can get loads of information about Wavelab Cast, how it works, things, features, etc., etc., etc. And there's other stuff on YouTube as well. So you'll basically get loads of information about that. There's also the opportunity to get a demo on here. So if you download the trial version right here and download the trial version, I would encourage you to download the trial version. Take it down, start playing with it, bring in noises, bring in pictures, start playing around with it. Just mash it up, man. Just mash it up. It'll be all good. You'll enjoy it. It's super simple interface. I mean, we've looked at it before and you'll see the interface and how we used it in other shows. So this is what it generally looks like. You know, there's a piece of music. Okay. And we've looked at editing in the edit window, and we've looked at our meters, and we've looked at the spectroscope, and we've looked at the track inspector, which is a super duper absolutely amazing section for anyone starting out, in that Wavelab Cast does a ton of the work for you. So you don't have to be worrying and knowing about compression or EQ or cleaning, how to clean up recordings that you've made. And there's a load of noise on there, noise that I'd refer to, like, imagine you recorded a beautiful interview but the window was open and there was a motorway close by, that sort of noise. Aircon in the building, it pulls all that sort of stuff out. Electrical noise on your recordings if there was a cable going across some recorder somewhere. So this does all that work for you, okay? And it's super simple. Look back at the show Track Inspector, okay? And we went through the whole lot, okay? Brilliant. Happy days. So that's Wavelab Cast. And we've been doing this now for a fair few shows. So we're chipping away at it and it's all working out beautifully, okay? So this week, I just wanted to bring in a couple of... just while I'm at it, right? This week, or I think it was last week, this is a DAW, okay? So Wavelab Cast is a DAW. And a DAW is a digital audio workstation where you bring in audio and you work on it either on a professional level or not so professional level, creating content, cleaning up recordings, loads of different stuff. So this is an iteration of Wavelab Cast. Hi Eric, how's it going? Are you well? Eric Kaufman has just joined the house. How are you doing? You well? Great. You're so welcome. We're just discussing things here. And who have we got? Slaney Audio has done. I've had a very high EQ. Easy, easy. Slaney, how are you doing? You're back for more. You're a stickler for punishment. Anyway, it's great to see you here, lads. What was I just saying? I have no idea. Oh yeah, so we're a DAW. This is a DAW, Wavelab Cast. But last week they announced the launch of version 12 of Nuendo, which is the super daddy of any of these DAWs. And oh my goodness, I am so looking forward to playing with it. It looks absolutely beautiful. Check out the Steinberg website. There's a load of stuff on there that they'll be able to show you. Look, just go on to Nuendo up there and you get to play. Oh, even the pictures are gorgeous. Even the pictures are gorgeous. So check it out. Countdown to Nuendo 12. Loving that. Love, love, love. It's the most complete DAW you will ever need to get your hands on as regards workflows for anything. Music, post-production, anything. Fantastic piece of kit. Anyway, that's going to be in my stocking for Christmas. And I wanted to go over here and we wanted to look at Wavelab Cast. So Wavelab Cast is a DAW, so I can do all sorts of stuff with Wavelab Cast. I can edit my music. See the music there? I'm editing there. I just want to nip it up to there, hit there and hit play. Super. Piece of music. Loving that. So you can manipulate all sorts of audio in here. But tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be doing something rather different. So, as I said earlier, we went off and we shot our interviews. Now we have our intro, we have our piece to camera, then we turn around and we go and have our interviews. We've cut the whole thing in, say, iMovie. I don't know what the equivalent would be in PC land. They used to Windows Movie Maker. I don't know, is that still alive? Is that still alive? I'm not sure. Anyway, I'm sure there's a load of other video editing packages out there. Whether they're super professional or otherwise, you cut your thing in there, you spit out your picture, your finished picture, bring it into Wavelab Cast, and you end up with something like this. Here's one we prepared earlier. I had to prepare some stuff earlier because ultimately we'd be ending up, spending half our time finding sound effects and stuff like this. So this is a little picture, okay, that I just dragged in. See that picture? Tickety boo, loving that. And where did I get that? Well, I tell you, I got it in the file browser. So basically what I did was I cut something together during the week, and we basically ended up with, I literally got these clips from a stock site, and I put those together. 5 minutes work. Bang, bang, bang. And I have to thank them in Pexels for that. So here is just a really quick overview of your interface. We've looked at this already, your file browser, your metadata, your markers, your clips, your spectroscope. Okay, spectroscope gives you, an overall view of the frequency spectrum that you would be dealing with any sort of audio. So look at the music. It's got low, the bass end, mid, top, really high frequencies, not so much. Okay, and then up here we got our meters. Okay, which is brilliant. Now, when we did that, we've got all these options up top here. I want you to look at this, right? There's your history, and that's of what you've done already in your edit. So it keeps a history, so I can jump back a few steps if I find I've gone ahead, made a couple of mistakes, I want to go back and amend things. That's your history. But this one is the one I want you to look at, and that's called video. No, it's not. It's called video. And if I click in here, there's my picture. Wow, there's the guy. He's walking onto a train. This is a little thing I just cut together. So excited. I should have been a movie director. So there he is. And look, cursor moves, picture moves, cursor moves. All good. See this? So you guys can see all that? Okay, brilliant. So literally just a couple of clips I put together. First things first, okay? And this is very appropriate to working with video. So I have a little story going on here with the picture that I'm dealing with currently. But this could be anything, okay? This could be your video podcast. This could be your content creation for YouTube. This could be your, I don't know, your granny's birthday coming up and you want to make a little video of everything for her and make it sound sweet. Bring it in here. Get it cleaned up, get it fixed up. You're rocking and rolling. Absolutely rocking and rolling. Premiere Pro, Filmora, Camtasia. Camtasia. Wow, that sounds fantastic. Brilliant. So, just ordinary packages that you can get out there for PC, I presume, Slaney. So that's all good. And then what do? You get your video, you go to your file browser, you grab your video, you plonk it onto the timeline. There it is, ready to go. Okay? So there is some really important things that you just kind of have to consider now before you start editing to picture. Okay? And I'll ask you to keep a serious eye out for these. Okay? Get yourself the demo, bring in a picture, see what happens. Play with it. Okay? Brilliant. One of the most important things that you have to consider, and not necessarily all the cheaper video packages will facilitate you in this, in that they'll take any video at any frame rate and they'll mishmash it all together and lash it out for you, okay, just to reduce your stress levels, okay? But when it comes to editing audio, that isn't necessarily the greatest option in the whole wide world, okay? You need to know what the frame rate of the video is, okay? And the majority of the cases, depending on where you are in the world, it'll be 25, 24, 29.97, etc., 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 etc. But that said, you can go and you can find the info on your video file, and in there should be the frame rate. Okay. Now, you ask me why I need to know the frame rate. What is the frame rate? The frame rate is how many pictures it takes to make up a video in 1 second. So a frame rate of 25 frames a second, okay, for TV in Europe is 25 pictures, literally 25 pictures in 1 second. And they run so fast that your eye doesn't distinguish anything, so you see a moving picture, okay? 24 frames is for film, okay? So there is a difference, okay? And it runs at a different speed and a different pitch, okay? So that's great. They work to a different frame rate again in the States, okay? So it's really important, and I tell you why. You know, when you get to the end of that 1 second and you cut to the next scene, we need to know exactly where those cuts are, okay? And I'll show you why in a minute. So first things first, let's look at this. If you see your timeline up here, and this is what they call your timeline, okay? So there's the very first frame, and here's the very end frame, okay? If you control click, we want that to be time code. We don't want it to be clock or bars and beats, because bars and beats will be music. Samples is samples. Clock is just, 1 hour, 2 hour, 1 minute and 30 seconds, etc., 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 etc. Time code is where we get the 25 frames a second or the 24 frames a second or whatever frame rate you're working to, okay? If you go to the time format in this menu, you can see what sort of frame rate we're dealing with here. Now, this specific video is 24 frames, okay? But you can switch it to any sort of resolution or any sort of frame rate that you feel that you need for your video, okay? Which is super important, and you'll see why in a minute, okay? Brilliant. Happy days. I'm just going to okay that. Tickety-boo. Now, that's the very first thing you need to set up and make sure that it's super, super locked off and happy and it's not going anywhere, okay? So, talking about locks, did you see what I just did there? Can you see that? There's a lock here, which means that picture ain't going nowhere. See, the track is locked. What are you doing, man? Okay. And the reason I'm doing that is so I have a solid base on which to build my sound effects and my voiceover and my backgrounds and my atmoses. So if I cut a beautiful thing frame accurately, I'm not going to accidentally nudge the video somewhere else and everything is out of sync and I start panicking and stressing. We don't want that. We don't enjoy that, do we? We just go on and we do the fun stuff, right? Deadly. Okay. So as you can see, the audio on the picture, so when you import the picture, the audio will come in with it into Wavelab Cast. So I don't really want this because this is stereo audio, but there's only 2 massive clips of, mono audio on the left-hand channel. How do I know that? Because I know it's a stereo track because I got my 2 little, what do you call them there? The 2 little circles. And on a mono track, I've got 1. Okay, so I know this is stereo and I see the audio is over on the left hand side. Can you guys see that? Okay, great. And nothing on the right hand side. So this audio isn't conducive to any sort of fantastic work that I want to get on with, okay? So I'm going to click there and I'm going to click mute, okay? That's basically quietened everything. So when I am working through my timeline, I'm not going to get these crazy bits of audio coming off my video audio and coming into my timeline and getting in my way, okay? I'm just muting that and I'm keeping that there just for giggles, just as a reference. I can move it up or down or do whatever I want, get it out of the way, etc. Okay? I'm just keeping that there for reference just in case. Okay? Brilliant. The other super important thing that we need to look at when we're editing to picture is this option here. Video follows edit mode. And you're going to say, what? Video follows edit mode is super important when you're editing any sort of audio to your picture. And I'll show you why. Okay, let me go down here and grab a piece of audio. Where's the first piece of audio on this? I think that's it, okay? So imagine I just grabbed that piece of audio and I dragged it all the way down there. So in theory, I should, in track 7, let me just get this visually working first because we don't want any messing. See, I'm just dragging this track down, drag the track down, and we basically get and put it down there. See the little arrow pops up, bing, and I just drop it there. That's out of my way. I don't have to worry about that anymore. Okay, so I'm going back up here a little bit, and I want to see the audio I just pulled in. Where is it? There it is. No, it's not. That's me. Oh yeah, I wanted to set that track up for you guys as well. So I'm just going to reduce the size of that track, and we should see our other piece of audio coming up. There it is. Okay, so I'm going to click on that and hold shift because that doesn't go left or right, but I can drag it up or down. Okay, see that? And it's going up. Brilliant. Because I just want to have it kind of in the zone with my picture. Because I kind of see the way the tracks are getting bigger and smaller and stuff like that. Okay, give yourself space when you're working to picture or when you're designing to picture. I design movies like as part of my day, and you know what? If I'm zoomed way out here like this, I'm really not doing myself much favors at all. And I tell you why. You need to get in, right, and do the nitty-gritty work. You know, it's like fine stitching and stuff like that. You got to get into the work, okay? You can't do it from a distance, especially when you're dealing with 1/25th of a second or 1/24th of a second. You need to get into the nitty-gritty, and that's why editing to picture, you know, allow yourself the space, increase the size of the tracks, you know, zoom in and find where you are and best where you are. Okay, brilliant. I want you to look at this. Okay, I'm dragging this up and down. There we go, tickety-boo. And you see the way that it's following the picture. See the guys moving now? That's brilliant. And there's a change of scene. Click. Okay, so the reason I check this, video follows edit mode. Basically, when you grab your audio, the picture scrubs with it, and you can find your start frame of whatever scene or edit you're looking at, and you can edit your picture to do so whatever you need. See, I'm editing that, and it's moving to picture as well. So imagine I just threw this. That's the very first frame of my picture. I'm going to drag this, and there's the second frame, or close of first shot, if you understand what I mean. So at that point, we move into the second shot, which is the guy walking along. Okay? Now, again, this is only a little piece of movie that I threw together. Yours could be a complete show, could be content, it could be anything. You could be, I don't know, showing off your latest equipment, showing off how to fix a car, showing off anything, whatever works for you. Okay? And you can be bringing it into WaveLabcast and getting it all fixed up nicely. Yeah? Brilliant. So the next thing is snap. Okay? This is a really handy function when you start working with multiple tracks and moving stuff around on multiple tracks. Okay? Snap basically, imagine there's a delineation, not a delineation, an end point that you could set up. It could be a marker, it could be the end of a clip in your timeline. But imagine you were bringing in another piece of audio, and instead of trying to find where that ends and you're playing around with it all the time, if you just snap to it, then you're in really good shape. It saves you an awful lot of time. So snap to magnets is a really, really handy function. Okay, and what are those magnets? So you click on that in the start of a montage, start clip, end clip, okay. This one I really want you to look at for the professional kind of mindset that you would bring to editing to picture, whether it's just a background or whether it's just cleaning up of your audio itself. Time ruler marks allows you to edit within a specific time code or in and around a specific time code. So look at the ruler there, right? We're just going to zoom in here, okay? And you can see 2 seconds and 16 frames, 15 frames. So there's a frame in the difference, okay? I'm just going to go and click there. I'm going to bring it to 16. See the little sort of hesitancy. It stops there, clip, and then moves on. And then imagine I went over to 15, and there's a little hesitancy there as well. So it's dragging the end frame of this audio to the exact frame that I needed to go to, which is a super amazing function. And you're going, oh, really, is it, Keith? Why would that be? Well, I tell you, it's funny. In some DAWs and in some situations with digital audio, you can get what they call a glitch, which is like a little in there. And a lot of those glitches happen, and I've been working with digital audio for nearly 30 years now. There's some DAWs out there that do it automatically. And there's an automatic sort of fade on the end of your clip. So instead of a straight run like this, Wavelab Cast puts a little softener on that, okay, which helps reduce glitches and clicks and stuff like that when you're editing your audio, okay. But some clips will find themselves, due to the modulation in the file itself, giving you a little click, okay. And this is a professional tip, right? So every single movie that I edit, I sit down and I go from frame 1 to whatever it is. Imagine it was an animation and it was 1 hour and, 15, 20 minutes later. Break 1 hour and 15 minutes or 20 minutes later up into seconds, and then break that up into 24 frames a second, which is 24 pictures for absolutely every second you've just calculated there, okay? So I've got to edit to each specific frame. And to help the smoothness of the audio on the ear and negate any worries about glitches and stuff, what we do is, when I go down to edit a movie, take a background which would go from, imagine we're looking at a scene of a desert, for want of a better example. You look at the desert and we open the scene and we close the scene, okay? Open the scene, close the scene. Then we cut to the inside of a hotel, okay? So there's a transition there. Here's the desert scene, here's the hotel scene. That frame, okay, is the cut, is the edit, okay, between the two scenes. So when you're editing audio, my Atmos will be running to that frame, and a different Atmos is going to be running in the hotel. So imagine a hotel lobby with loads of kids running around and it's all very happy and bright, yeah? And the desert shot is very mute and quiet. It's just wind and sand and stuff, okay? Two very, very, very different sounds, okay? And two very, very different beds. So at that point, to smoothen out the audio, you add a frame of this audio, Atmos, okay? And you add a frame of this audio. And you crossfade them, okay? And that smooths out the join. And it's perfectly natural on the ear then, It's very finite, but it's perfectly smooth on the ear. And that's a super, super important tip for any sort of editing to picture, okay? Super important. Your magnets will help you with that, okay? So let's bring in some other audio. first off, I got to find the end of that frame. Okay, so I'm scrolling. There's the frame, and there is end frame. And now I'm going 1 second further. No, I'm not. I'm going 1 frame further. Excuse me. Okay. So where did I get the audio? Well, basically what you're doing is you got your browser up here, your file browser, and you can go to your sound effects library. Okay. If I go to my sound effects library, I got all my sound effects listed here. Now I have a massive library because I'm cutting movies all the time. Okay. Keyframe in Premiere Pro. Yeah, keyframes are kind of different in that you got to put in a keyframe and another keyframe, and that's your fade. Okay. Whereas you cross-fading your 2 frames, and I'll show you how to do that properly with digital audio. It's super important, guys. For any editors out there, please, please, please consider it. Please, okay? It's a lot of work. Is there audio snapping available synced to timecode? Yeah, that's what I'm saying to you. Those magnets, you know where the edit is because it's frame 16 of second 2, and then you just drag your 1 frame fade across there, or drag out your audio clip and then just fade at the end for a frame. Okay, so it does a lot of the work for you, Selene. It absolutely does. Yeah. Okay, brilliant. Sorry. So yeah, the browser. Okay, there's the browser. Okay, and I'm looking at my sound effects folder, and there's Grand Canal Basin construction sounds. I went out and I recorded a building site one day in Dublin, down in Grand Canal Basin. So see this, there is a little star, and that basically says play through master selection. This is auto play mode. Okay, so let me just click on that. Stop and play. I can turn off autoplay and just play it myself if I wanted to. And then over here we got a search. I can click on that and I can type in canal, C-A-N-A-L, and there's the Grand Canal construction sounds. I could have put in construction and we would have been away. I literally just click and drag that onto my timeline and we're away. Okay. But there's a few ways of getting your audio into Wavelab Cast, and that is from your Explorer or your Finder. Okay, you could have a folder of all your beautiful sound effects, have it open there, listening to your sound effects, previewing them, and literally just drag them in. Okay, so that's another way to do it if you wanted, because you might have a load of folders in there and you want to route your way through it. Whatever works for you, whatever your workflow enables you to be fastest. You have these options, and there's loads of different options you can get with the Wavelab Cast as well. Okay, brilliant. So I dragged my audio in, okay, and again I shifted it up here to my timeline, and I zoomed out a little bit, and what I did was I found a little atmos of, say, cityscape, okay, just to establish the exterior. Okay, so have a listen. I'm just going to go and zoom back here. Okay, so that's my cityscape noise. I just wanted to establish that. Now, this is all background noise. These are all ambiences or atmoses that are wild tracks that I'm dealing with here. And it's literally just to embellish the story or to embellish the overall video. And it's super important for any sort of production that you really bring up your game if you can, instead of just leaving a load of mute shots. I mean, most of the things that you watch on YouTube, they're all just sitting there. Half of them are mute. And it's, for me, as somebody that's come from film and broadcast and game and all these aspects, is it just doesn't sound natural. It's a distraction more than anything to the viewer. So imagine you had a lovely scene in your video of going from some lovely field to some lovely beach, and humans hear these things. They want to experience it. They want to be part of the video. They want to engage with the video. If they can engage with it by hearing the real scene and it being natural to them, both to their ear and their eyes, the cerebral and the visceral as well, right? You're engaging them so much more. There is so much more to your content now, and it is super important. Yeah? Okay. Let's get another clip in here, will we? Brilliant. So I established my opening shot, and now I'm cutting to something completely different. That is the exterior of, let's say, the train station. Okay? We're cutting to the interior of the train station now. Okay? And here's one I prepared earlier, of course, because we had run out of time before I could even blink. So let's go up here to my clips, okay? And in my clips, I have everything listed out here. See all this? These are the clips that I've imported already today. And I also did a little bit of voiceover as well, just for giggles, to show you the context that we could be dealing with within picture. Okay, so there's a ticket hall. Okay, that sounds great. So why don't I go? It's selected it down there. Look at that. Where are you? Ticket hall. There you go. Train station, ticket hall. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab that. I'm going to zoom out a little bit because I know that I have to get going on this. And I'm zooming, and I'm grabbing that and I'm dragging it down here. So I'm on track 5. I'm going to go up here to my picture. You see, because this is in stereo, okay, I'm not going to go to that track. That's another emphasis that I wanted to put onto you guys. See the little thing? Let me just grab that. I'm going to throw that up here. Now, see what I'm doing here? And this is super important for editing audio as well. And editing picture, FYI. Please note any audio or video editors, okay? I know that track is locked. So, a major thing for editing picture is how you checkerboard your audio. And checkerboarding, just like a checkers board or a chess board, okay, they call it checkerboarding, is you got a piece of audio on one track, and below that track you have your other piece of audio. When that piece of audio finishes, you put your other piece of audio on top on the other track. Okay, so let me show you what I mean. Okay, if you can see here, these tracks are checkerboarded. Okay, so I'm just going to grab this. I'm not going to rename it. I'm just going to grab it up there. See all the magnets? They're all just clicking into space, and it's absolutely fabulous. See? Click, click, click. Loving that. See the way I'm doing this checkerboarding, which now, if I zoom in here, okay, will allow me to have my little fade. Remember the fade we were talking about? Okay, I can grab that. There's 12, 10, so we can drag this back and then get our fade. See the little click and then the little click, okay? Grab your fade, and there she blows, okay? There's your crossfade, and it will sound super natural on your ear. Okay, did I actually do that to an edit? I can't remember. Anyway, talking amongst ourselves, there's your man walking. There's the edit, okay, at that point. So I want that to come back here. I'm just going to drag that up to there, okay? And I'm bringing this back here. See, I'm just grabbing these and dragging them around, and it's super easy, okay? I want to grab this. There's the edit. And there, and I'm bringing my fade over here. Okay, so there's our edit. Okay, that's the frame that it changes, and we can listen to this. Now, is that platform? Okay, station, ticket hall. Where's, oh yeah, there we go. Okay, so this could work. Have a listen. I literally just grabbed these files. I had them all set up beautifully for you, and now, sure, listen, I'm messing them all up. So let's have a look at our outro and our intro.
Danforth Station, Danforth.
Okay, so I know this is a super rough edit right now, and we don't necessarily have the audio in where we're going, but you know what? It's starting to really come together in that there's huge life happening in the pictures now. You know, things are moving, things are happening for us. You know what I mean? Now we have an establishing exterior. Okay, so there's the ticket hall, right? Okay, so ticket hall, where's your man? I didn't want him there. And the platform, let's just get that announcement over there because I didn't want that there. But okay, so here's the platform. Okay, there's the ticket hall, there's the platform. Okay, so let me just drag that back to that picture, and there he is in his ticket hall. Okay, there's the ticket hall. I'm just going to drag that down there. I'm obviously missing something in the meantime. Okay, here's a platform. We go back to the platform again. Where are we? I'm just going to drag this because I can drag this through and scroll through the pictures and basically see where these, there it is. Okay, there's the announcement. I have an announcement in there. Okay, so watch these pictures come alive with what we're looking at here. Okay, so there's a train arriving and we're hearing the ticket hall. So now things are really coming alive. So now what we want to do is we want to start embellishing each shot. Okay, your man's walking. We could start putting in Foley. We could start putting in sound effects. We could start embellishing the story by doing a thing called ADR, which is like acting out lines and going, "Hey buddy, I forgot your newspaper," and we wouldn't have to look at the actor in the background. Do you understand what I mean? So as your man is walking along the corridor there, you know, that could be part of the, "Hey buddy, I forgot your newspaper," and he doesn't hear him, and that could be part of your story. But what we could do is, let me just show you here. I've just set up a voiceover track. Okay, I select my input, I put it into record arm, and I basically record a voiceover in there, or an actor's lines, or a piece to camera. You know, a piece to camera. Imagine we're looking at a beautiful shot of a village and, you know, you wanted to tell part of the story in voiceover. You got your PTC, you cut away to the saying, "Oh, we're here in lovely, I don't know, Guatemala, and we wanted to look at this village, and we'll be looking at the village deeper, but let's go and have a look around first." And then we cut to different shots of the village. This village was established in so-and-so. There are 3,000 people living here, and other such fabulous information. Okay, and we can be doing all that to picture. Okay, let me just show you what I mean. Here's one I prepared earlier. Okay, so I'm grabbing your man. Okay, you come down here, and what I'm doing is I'm going to solo this. Okay, so let me just do this. Our intrepid explorer arrives to the train station quietly. He goes down onto his platform, puts in his ticket, just as the train arrives. Okay, so obviously my phone was on at the start of that line, but there you go. So we're specifically talking about, he goes down onto his platform, puts in his ticket, just as the train arrives. So puts in his ticket. There's the point that he puts in his ticket. That's the line that I want him to do that there. So I put that there. I click. Puts in his ticket, just as the train arrives. Okay. So now we're just embellishing everything. There's our little bit of voiceover, and with Wavelab Cast I can shift things around. There's an awful lot of noise on that, so why don't I go there, and then I can use my track inspector to clean that audio up. You know, it's so handy. You see, I've set up a cleanup track here as well, which is very, very handy in that if I've got audio that needs a help, I can set my parameters in my track inspector, and I can basically put them all on this track, any dodgy audio, And in that track, I can have them all catered for and cleaned up and nice. So now we're starting to embellish our audio. We're cleaning up our lovely recordings. They're lovely now because we've taken the de-esser in there. We've taken off, loads of noise off the recordings. And we've brought out, embellished, the sound. Now we're cutting to picture. Now it's like coming together, lads. Coming together really, really well. Okay? So there's my cleanup track. I go to my track inspector and I have all my facilities right there. And I can do exactly what I need to do with it where I'm doing it. Okay? Brilliant. Now, our voiceover's placed. We have your man walking down here. Let's see, where are my other sound effects? Let me just have a wee look here. Excuse me. Oh, look at this one. This is a good one. We like this one. Have a listen to this. Okay. Which is, in theory, a ticket machine. Okay. So I'm just going to drag that down there. Okay. Now, where's me picture? Where's me picture? There we go. Tickety boo. Okay. So, see where he's putting in the ticket there? Ding. So that's where I want to put that sound effect. Okay. And this could be anything. Listen, this could be, sound effects for graphics or something like that. Again, I'm dragging it to the picture. Okay. Look at this. I can get frame accurate there. Ching. So have a look. And this platform, what's in his ticket, just as the train arrives. Do you know what I mean? So things are all coming together nicely, and I haven't done an awful lot of work. I've just literally just lashed this in. Couple of sound effects. Granted, yes, I did look for my sound effects earlier. Okay, which isn't a major thing for. Okay, so put it this way. I'm thinking 20 to the dozen here. Out on a shoot, okay, and I always tell every producer and director when they're doing this. When you go out on your shoot, probably the last thing you're going to consider is recording wild tracks, okay, because you've got enough to consider. You've got to get your shot going, you got to get your mics going, you got to get your, your lighting right, etc, 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 etc. Okay, but I will suggest one thing to you, and I will suggest it being probably one of the most important aspects of any shoot, okay, is your atmoses and your wild tracks. And I say to every single director or every single person, that's content creator, videographer I talk to, if you can possibly get your I'll be with you in 2 seconds, Slaney. If you can possibly get your hands on a stereo recorder, an audio recorder, whatever it is, whoever makes it, whether it's brand new and you can afford a really decent one, or you can get yourself a second-hand cheaper one, doesn't matter where you get them. There's all sorts of recording facilities that you can get. Handheld recorders, you can get microphones that plug into telephones. Zoom do a lovely thing called the AM7, and there's an Android version and there's an iOS version. The Q7 I think is the Android version, or vice versa. AM7 for Android, Q7 for iOS. And it's literally two microphones, and they plug into your phone, and you have a little app on there, and that is a field recorder that you can use anywhere. And they're super small, super light. You could have them, somewhere safe in your pocket. Pull it out, boom. Can I have quiet on set, please? Hit record. 1 minute later, that's you. You have your ambience for that specific scene that you've just shot. Okay? It's super easy. And when you bring that recording back to your setup at home or in work or wherever, and you start editing your stuff together, and you've got a longer scene of this dude walking down the street or walking down the platform, and you have this lovely stereo ambience track. Man, your game is coming up. Your game is coming up super well. And people are engaging with it because they're looking at a shot and they're hearing what should be there in the shot. So you're not losing your audience. They're engaging, they're diving into your content, absolutely subsuming themselves. Okay. Slaney, no, I didn't actually. This stuff kind of comes into my head all the fucking time. It's unbelievable. Where are you with sound placement? What do you mean with sound placement? Do you mean me taking pre-recorded sound effects and putting it into a picture as part of your sound edit? If that's the case, I'm all over it. If you are up against a deadline, or if you're up against a job that you know you can embellish it with grabbing a pre-recorded sound effect from a library that you own or you've purchased, or by all means, there is no point in being elitist and, you know, precious about these things. I mean, you're up against a deadline. Ultimately, you need to get your content out there, and whatever you can do to help your workflow and how you manage that is super simple. That's a no-brainer. I could sit down and build a fabulous sound effects bed from pre-recorded stuff and recorded stuff and sound effects and this, that and the other from all over the place, and spend days on it. Or else, depending on the gig, I could grab a pre-recorded sound effect that works perfectly well for the scene or the shot and bang that in, and then yeah, you're in, you know. So it all depends on you, your workflow, the budget, I suppose, time constraints. But ultimately, you know, I wouldn't really worry about that, Slaney. Do you know? As long as you're getting the gig done, you're getting the gig done right. That's what I would be worried about. That you're not doing the gig right. Do you know? Okay. So we've had a look at a track lay. Okay. How you track lay your stuff. Under voice or equal with music track. Oh, sorry. You mean where would I place within mixing reality stuff? Okay, put it this way, right? Let me just zoom out here, okay? I'm going to, maybe I went down here. I'm trying to figure out where they would go. Okay, so let me just grab this. I'm just going to go over here, and there's a load of music. So I'm going to reduce the waveform there a bit so as I can see the waveform of my, see that? Those two sliders, that way and this way. See? That handy? And then you get, you know, various options you can be looking at there as well. Okay? They're just zoom options. Use what tells the story, you know. It's all about your message, lads. I keep saying it. The less taxing you make it for somebody to absorb and consume your content or your message or your whatever it is, that's getting the job done right. And it's, believe me, it's all about getting it right. Why would you go in and do a job half-hearted? You know, all these things can lead to other things, and people are watching it, and you know, this could really become something for you if you're putting your heart and soul into this. Why would you do it halfway? You know, super important. Use what tells the story. totally. So, to answer your question there, Slaney, under voice or equal music in the track, it totally depends on what the piece of audio is. You know, I could do a lovely edit of sound effects here, grabbing, you know, my levels up and down and up and down and doing my fades and stuff like that. And whose platform? What's in his ticket? Just as the train. Okay, so there's my two levels. You mightn't be seeing this in sync actually because it's going through virtual drivers and stuff before it goes to the web. So you mightn't be hearing your audio exactly. I don't know, are you hearing your audio exactly on the edit? I hope you are. You need to grab the demo, get it into your system and start playing with this. It's such good fun. Such good fun. Give up the Xbox, man. This is the way forward, you know? Totally. So what I'm saying to you, Slaney, is this sound, he goes down and whose platform, what's in his tape, is very broad. Okay, if we look at that with the spectroscope, look. He goes down and whose platform, what's in his ticket. It occupies an awful lot. Look at the train. Just as the train arrives. So maybe under music, maybe we want pumping music at this stage, and the sound effects are only a punctuation. So it's how your creative sense feels the scene. How do you want to communicate that scene? Okay? With our voiceover, the voiceover is king and the interviews are king, and you know, they have to be at a specific level, totally coherent, and that is that. There's no option there. You need to carry your message, you need to carry your communication. But if the sound effects are not necessarily needed to be dominant, then personally the way I work is dialogue first, whether that is pieces to camera, interviews, voiceover, everything like that, all voice is first. Then the sound effects that punctuate that with a complement of music. Because the complement of music is super important, okay? In that I have a desk in front of me and I ride the faders. Basically, I'll bring the music up and down as I feel it, you know. So I'm literally almost dancing with the faders. Do you understand what I mean? So things are getting too loud in the music. I'm tapping my foot all the time because it's the tempo of the music, and the tempo of the music dictates how I conduct the music, like a conductor in an orchestra. So I'm tapping my foot all the time, and he's about to come in, but I don't just lash it down when he comes in. I dance down with the fader, if you understand what I mean. So that's kind of how I work. You could, but then it's going to start sounding more muddy, do you know? I know it's broad, but don't be afraid. Like, I mean, you can bring your levels down. You can still hear the punctuation of the edits and the cuts and what's happening in the scene with your music. It's about not going crazy. It's about complementing each other. The sound effects aren't there to drown out everyone else, because I'm the sound effects editor and I want my work to be heard up here, you know? It's like the bad old days, you know, you're sitting there at 5 a.m. still mixing the music track for the young band, and somebody says from the back of the room, I can't hear the drums, I want more drums. And you know it's the drummer saying that. I've been there, believe me, okay? There's a balance that you can meet with your sound effects, with your music, with your voice. And the voice is king. I mean, it has to be there, you know. But it's that balance. It's finding the balance. And that's what the whole thing about mixing is. Mixing isn't just lashing it down, getting a few faders, throw a load of compressors over everything. Man, it'll be grand. it's a real visceral thing. Mixing is, it's getting your bed, which is your voices, and what complements those to carry your message and your story underneath those, or over that, or however you envisage your creativity, or how you envisage the creativity and how it works for you in that context. Yeah. Okay. So let me just quickly show you what I mean there. We have our little ticket machine, ching, right? Let me just get a bit of music underneath that just for giggles, okay? And we'll do a little bit of a very rough mix, okay? This is super fast, right? Because I'm under pressure for time now, I'm afraid. So platform, where's my music on at all? Let me just go out here a bit. And did I not have it there? There's a piece of music. Okay, let me just grab this down here. I don't want to go over any of my lovely work. So I'm just going to go here and I'm just going to split it there and take this little piece of audio, because that was an S, by the way, if you're looking for the quick key to that. I'm just dragging this down real quick. See, there's our, you see, I can, oh, by the way, look at this, track color. I can go purple on that, and I can change the color of these things all the time, just to make sure that I know exactly where I'm going with what, and I'm not crashing in on top of each other. Okay, so there's a bit of music. Okay, so let me throw my cans on here, and we'll do a very rough mix on this real quick. Okay, he goes down onto his platform. It's in his ticket, just as the train. So that's just noise to me. Okay, so that's fine. It's noise. Let's try and dissect it a little bit. First off, let's just look at the voiceover and see where we're going with levels. He goes down onto his platform, puts in his ticket. Let's clean that up a little bit, shall we? Let's just get a bit of denoiser on there. Okay. And I'm just going to put on that much. In his ticket, just as the train arrives. Okay, I'm getting rid of all of that noise on there, which sounds great. Okay, then maybe I just put on a bit of EQ and I just low cut that. He goes down onto his platform, puts in his ticket, just as the train arrives. Okay, so I'm going to look at my picture now, or my music at that point. Okay, I'm just going to solo that as well. Sorry lads, I'm just going to do that, mute these, okay? Come on, wakey, and then we should be hearing this. He goes down onto his platform, puts in his ticket, just as the train arrives. Okay, so I'm bringing that down behind the voiceover because it's way too loud. He goes down onto his platform, puts in his ticket, just as the train arrives. Okay. Now, one function that we haven't addressed in Wavelab Cast is a thing called ducking. Okay. See this? Ducking allows you duck the music under the voice. I'm clicking on my source, and my source is going to be the voiceover. So what's happening here is when the voiceover speaks, it ducks underneath. So see, at that point, it'll duck underneath the music, and then the music will come up when I'm not speaking. Listen to this. He goes down onto his platform, puts in his ticket, just as the train arrives. Did you hear that? That's a really extreme version of what I'm talking about. So let me just bring up the music a little bit more, just to emphasize this ducking. Let's have a listen. He goes down onto his platform, puts in his ticket, just as the train arrives. Do you know what I mean? So it's doing an awful lot of the work for you. So you click on the little E and you get this, and this gives you options to, because that's really extreme. I mean, the jump between the talky bits and the non-talky bits, and it's jumping up in the middle of words and stuff like that. It's very harsh. Okay. So we'll try and avoid that, shall we? Okay. These are your ducking parameters, okay? And you can adjust these
onto his platform, puts in his ticket just as the train arrives.
Okay. How much it holds, the fade out, the fade in, and the threshold as to when it kicks in. Do you remember we were talking about the compressors a couple of weeks ago? The compressor's threshold, where the voice hits and the music knows, oh, I got a duck. So you can play with that and get that final, that sweet spot if you possibly can, you know.
Puts in his ticket just as the train arrives.
I want that to fade up later.
Ticket just as the train arrives.
Okay, so half a second later it's kicking in because I adjusted that accordingly. Okay, I'm just lashing through that. If you can get your hands in the demo and have a play with that, it is such an amazingly handy function to find yourself, you know, if you're under pressure for a mix, you can set up a lovely balance of music and voice, and the ducking is smooth. Okay, so it's really important to play with those parameters, which we don't necessarily have time now. Slaney, have a look at those parameters in the demos. Okay, when you download the demo from Steinberg, have a look at those parameters. You don't need it kicking in straight away. You don't need it releasing straight away. You know, you can find the lovely balance where it's dun, 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 coming down when the voice kicks in, holes underneath, you know. There's a 2-second hole there. We can lessen that. We don't want it jumping up.
Puts in his ticket just as the train arrives.
You see, that's jumping up in the middle, so we need to adjust these parameters accordingly. We can also don't need to have it jumping up so much, okay? But this is super important to play with, okay? I'd really encourage you to have a good play with the ducking, okay? Again, it's this little icon. We could change the source that it's referencing, okay? So this is my music track. Double click on here, music. Beautiful. I go to my source and I could go to the cleanup track, or I can go to the voiceover track or the movie soundtrack, do you know? And that'll dictate when the music is ducked down. Okay, so play with those parameters as well. Okay, now what you were saying, Slaney, about the sound effects balance, let's open up this, which is the ticket hall sound.
He goes down onto his platform, puts in his ticket.
So that's super loud. We drag it right down and we give a punctuation. We give a hint of where we are.
He goes down onto his platform, puts in his ticket.
Okay, this is working better, okay? This is all very rough, lads.
He goes down onto his platform, puts in his ticket, just as the train arrives.
So that's sitting a little better. I'll bring it up by 2, 3, 4 dB.
He goes down onto his platform, puts in his ticket, just.
Okay, let me turn off the ducking for a second. I'm just going to turn off the ducking and I'm going to go and just set a level so as we can focus on the music, the sound effects, and the different type of sound effects as well. Okay, so let me just go back here. Let's have a listen.
Down onto his platform, puts in his ticket, just as the train arrives.
Okay, now the next thing I wanted to do was to bring in the little sound effect of the ticket machine. So have a listen.
Down onto his platform, puts in his ticket, just as the...
That just doesn't sound natural to me, do you know? So I want to bring that down a little bit more. But you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put on a bit of reverb because we're in a hall. So imagine this.
Onto his platform, puts in his ticket, just...
Did you hear that? So now I've put on a little bit of reverb to give the emphasis that we're in this large hall. I'm giving it more here. I'm I'm going to give it more reverb, pull down the size. Let's have a listen.
Down onto his platform, puts in his ticket.
That's sitting in better with me now. And all I did there was put on a little bit of reverb. Now I'm embellishing the whole thing. Granted, now it's too loud for a little bit of mix. Let me just drag it down.
Platform, puts in his ticket, just as the train arrives.
Okay, and our lovely train is arriving, so let's get into the train and see what it's doing. Now I can imagine that that's way too loud already, so I'm just dragging that down.
Puts in his ticket, just as the train arrives.
Still way too loud for our context, okay, so I'm pulling that again.
In his ticket, just as the train arrives.
For me, that's still too loud. But again, the way I'm mixing these things, I'm literally just grabbing my line and feeling it, you know. Granted, I don't have a mixing desk in front of me and being able to control it with faders, which isn't necessarily natural to everyone. It's just I've been doing it for so long. That's how I work, you know. 2 front and center. Try more wet. Oh, really? Okay. Listen, Slaney, I'm under pressure, man. Don't put me under pressure. But you know what I mean? If I had less than 10 minutes to do all this mix, if I had more than just the 10 minutes to do this mix, I could, you know, spend a little time on there. I mean, today I had the whole thing pretty much set up, and I got rid of it all because I needed to build it in front of you, if you understand what I mean. And it didn't take me a long time at all. I know I've been doing this for a long time, but I'll be honest with you, there's systems out there, and it would take me much longer to do in those other systems than it took me today to do in Wavelab. You know? And the fact is, you have the track inspector beside you. So Slaney wants a little bit more wet on the reverb. There's only one big button there that all you have to do is throw on a bit more, and it sounds magic. Do you know? How easy was that to place that little ding sound in there? Yeah, it's way too up there, Slaney, but, you know, we've only got 5 minutes to mix this whole thing, you know? But it's super easy to do so. It's so super easy to do so, you know? I mean, it is a smashing, it's absolutely super little piece of kit. I say little in comparison to some of the big giant DAWs that you get in the world today, you know? Resource wise, and you know, its efficiency, and it's a smashing piece of kit. It really is. And I'm afraid, lads, we've well run over. You demoed the flexibility very well. Thanks, Slaney, and thanks for your company, and thank you for joining us on here for all these weeks. I don't know whether you got back to listen to the other shows, but I hope they were as helpful to you as well. This is a very, very effective tool for anyone that wants to create. It's also a very forgiving tool for people that don't know how to create but want to create. I know, and I've met, and I've talked to, and I've tried to encourage as well, an awful lot of people out there that don't necessarily have the confidence. They look at a handheld recorder or a microphone or a video camera or all this technology, and they go, what? It can be very daunting. It can be absolutely daunting. But again, this Wavelab Cast can save you so much of that stress. You don't need much. You just record straight into your Wavelab Cast on your laptop wherever you are. And if you can do that, you don't need a handheld recorder. You just get an interface plug in an interface. Now you're recording multiple sources into your Wavelab cast. You know, it's very, very easily done. And you can do it. You can absolutely, totally and utterly do it. Whether you're in Slaney or whether you're wherever you are in the world, okay? You have a recorder in your phone. Track Inspector will clean an awful lot of the messing up. I would really, really, really encourage you to get your hands on the demo. Put it in there. And you're away. Play with it. I mean, play with the audio first, the little editing functions and stuff like that. Slaney, balancing your music in comparison to your voice. Then getting in and do the ducking. The ducking function is amazingly cool. It will save you so much time. You know, when I'm tapping my foot and I'm dancing on the faders and I'm coming up and down and up and down, you set your settings on that and it'll do all the work for you. You know, that's just the way I'm old-fashioned. I need faders in front of me. That's how I mix. This will save you tons of time. Tons of time. You know, I just do it naturally. So, but if that is not how you work, the ducking is such a fabulous, fabulous, fabulous function to be able to get your hands on. Really is. Guys, I'm gonna go before I ramble for another ramble on for another 3/4 of an hour, saying get yourselves out there, get and play with this. It's a super tool for recording the picture, to edit the picture, to mix the picture. And again, when you do get your balance right of all your elements, you export out your master. So now you have a WAV file or whatever format you deem you need. Put it back to your picture and you're rocking and rolling for YouTube, Vimeo, you name it. It's super fun. It's super fun. It's super important tool. Get your hands on it and get and play with it. I'm going to love you and leave you because it's the weekend and you guys want to go out to a disco or, I don't know, go horse riding or something. I'm going to love you and leave you. All right. It's been an absolute joy as per. Well done, lads. Thank you for your input, lads. And great to see you here again. It's great to see you guys joining us. And I hope you have a lovely weekend. And I look forward to talking to you very, very soon. You have a lovely evening. Take it easy.